Good afternoon. My name is Tim Voss, and I'm the chair of the Historic Conservation Board. I'd like to take a minute to remind everyone about the rules of this proceeding. This proceeding is at all times governed by the rules of procedure, a copy of which is available online. All those planning to testify today, which does not include those solely making arguments, such as attorneys, will be asked to take an oath administered by the board's attorney when they testify. This is a quasi-judicial hearing. As such, the board reserves the right to deliberate in private. The Ohio rules of evidence do not apply to this hearing. However, professional rules of conduct do apply, and candor to the tribunal is required. The board members are citizen volunteers and are not paid for their service. They are treated as public officials under Ohio law, and any attempt to influence them, including but not limited to bribery, intimidation, retaliation, which may include contacting their employer, in an attempt to exert influence, is punishable as a crime. All should be aware that this meeting is being tape recorded. Therefore, please speak clearly into your microphone and state your name and address for the record. In the event of any technical difficulties with the video conferencing technology, I may continue or postpone this hearing at my discretion. All participants providing testimony must have both camera and audio features turned on in order to participate. With that, we will proceed to the first item, 242 West McMicken Avenue. Mr. Owen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This application is for 242 West McMicken Avenue in the Soane Mohawk Historic District. This is the former Felsenbrow Brewery, and this includes the eastern portion of the existing complex. It is not the original main building on the west side of the complex, but the Art Moderne addition to the east. So the applicant is proposing to renovate the existing building to a general production use, to return the building to a brewery and a bottling plant, as well as storage for the equipment and product. They're also proposing some new mechanical equipment in the side yard of the building that would include a chiller as well as a CO2 tank that would be behind a proposed screen fence on the north portion of the block along Mohawk Street. So the application will require zoning relief in the form of a conditional use approval to allow that general production use, and it will require a locational variance for accessory structures in the side yard. So the current zoning district is urban mix, and general production use requires conditional use, and a brewery falls into that definition of general production. So conditional use is required. Staff finds that the conditional use is appropriate, as this building originally housed a brewery, and the proposed use is returning it to its original function. And there are not expected to be any adverse effects, as most of the surrounding development is industrial in nature. And the locational variance, staff feels that this is also appropriate. The applicant did consider placing the equipment on the rooftop, but due to the existing structure, it was found that the structural supports that would be required to do that were prohibitive. So they are proposing to place that in the side yard, which is on this property. There is no rear yard because it spans the block between West McMicken and Mohawk Street. Accessory structures are only allowed in the rear yard. So by placing this anywhere on the site rather than on the roof, it would require that locational variance. So staff does feel that that is appropriate when screened from view from Mohawk Street. And I'd also mention that equipment is placed on, there's a large retaining wall that is set back about halfway back from the existing building face. And this will be, or sorry, it's set, the retaining wall is towards the front of that building face. The equipment will be set back about halfway between that retaining wall and the Mohawk Street frontage, with the screen fence in place around it. So staff does feel that is appropriate from a zoning relief standpoint. As for the certificate of appropriateness, the main changes that are being made to the building itself are related to the existing door and window openings. So the applicant is proposing to enlarge the window openings that currently exist on the upper level of this setback portion of the addition. You can see on the original drawing right now, they are fairly narrow windows that are confined to that top level. This is the production area inside the building. So the applicant is proposing enlarging those windows down to about 4 feet above the existing floor level that would allow additional light into that space where people will be working to improve those existing conditions. So that's the most substantial change on the building. Staff feels that because this is while still a primary facade, it is somewhat secondary to the remainder of the building, as it is set back quite a bit from the existing frontage, with a parking lot in front of that area and a loading dock. So the windows on the main Art Moderne addition will remain at their original sizes and locations. There will be new windows placed in those openings, but they will all remain the existing historic sizes and locations. So staff feels that making that change to the setback portion is appropriate to allow the better working conditions inside the building. Aside from those windows, which are the biggest impact, there are some changes proposed on the east elevation, which do not face the street. You will be able to see them when traveling west on West McMicken. But the changes that are proposed there are fairly limited by putting louvers into the upper portion of those windows to allow ventilation within the building. The applicant had originally thought about placing those louvers on the front facade of that Art Moderne section. Staff encouraged them to shift that to the side elevation, and they were willing to do that. So staff does feel this is a better option. And then there are some changes to the window or the door placement areas on that same loading dock area. Basically, they're adding an additional loading dock and adding additional man door on this side. They're also infilling one window here that infill material will be set back an inch from the facade. Same on the Mohawk portion of the street. This is more utilitarian in design. They are removing some windows from the second story from the Mohawk side to allow for a larger overhead door in this area that would allow for more ease of movement of equipment and materials in and out from the Mohawk side of the building. And aside from that, the windows along the basement that are currently boarded over would be infilled with brick, again in sets 1 inch from the building facade. So overall, staff does feel that the proposed changes are appropriate. They do meet the Soane Mohawk guidelines, both for the specific building section for the Mohawk Brewery, as well as the building alteration section for commercial buildings. So staff does recommend approval of the conditional use required for a general production use, and recommends approval of the locational variance for accessory structures in the side yard. As far as the certificate of appropriateness, staff recommends approval of the COA for 242 West McMicken Avenue, including any revisions submitted for permit subject to staff review and approval, with the conditions that 1, the overhead doors shall be dark in color. 2, the specific window specs shall be submitted to the urban conservator for approval prior to the issuance of building permits. 3, the proposed screen fence for the accessory structure shall either be metal or a wood horizontal board fence to be approved by the urban conservator prior to the issuance of building permits. And 4, that the building permits must be issued within 2 years of the decision dates where the COA shall expire.
Thank you, Mr. Owen. All right. I have 3 people signed up for item number 1. Who will speak on behalf of the applicant?
This is Ron. This is Ron Novak with Drawing Department. Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Before you speak, can I swear you in, please?
Yes. Let me turn my speaker on.
All right, if you could raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
All right. Well, thanks for hearing us today. I think Doug did a very good job at covering why we're here. So I don't really have much to add for it, other than we tried to respect the architecture of the building that was there and still provide the opportunity to reanimate the building as a brewing building. So what we've done, we feel, is not detrimental to the health, safety, and welfare or enjoyment of neighboring properties, and it allows us to do what we need to do to make this building viable again. So I appreciate you guys letting us see you today.
All right. I also have Alex Hauk signed up. Mr. Hauk, do you wish to speak? How about Adam Stahura?
I'm with Drawing Department. I have nothing to add.
Thank you. All right, that's everybody we have signed up. Any questions from the board for?
Mr. Voss, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I believe Mr. Patrick Giles or Gills.
Has come in?
Yes, I believe he signed in late, so I'm not sure if he has anything you'd like to add.
All right, Mr. Giles.
So this is Ron Novak once again. I'll let you know that Patrick Gitz and Alex Hauk are with us. They're with Sugar Creek, the owners of the project. So I don't believe he has anything to add at the table from me. He is saying he does not.
I'm sorry. So Patrick does not have anything to add either?
That is correct. Patrick Gillis does not have anything to add at this point.
Then that is everybody I have signed up and signed in, unless I'm missing someone. Any questions from the board for staff or applicant? Absent that, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve both the zoning relief and the certificate of appropriateness as laid out by staff.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Zelasco,
Aye.
Mr. Weiss,
Yes.
Mr. Smith Dobbins,
Yes.
Mr. Young,
Yes.
Mr. Sunderman,
Yes.
and Ms. McKenzie is not with us. Is that correct? Okay. The chair votes aye. Item number 1 is approved. All right, that brings us to item number 2, 506 East 4th Street. Mr. Owen, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is an application for a certificate of appropriateness for 506 East 4th Street and the Lytle Park Historic District. The applicant is proposing a small 1-story addition on the east elevation that will expand the kitchen facilities of the existing building and allow passage between this building and the adjacent building, which is also owned by the same owners. So the proposed addition does meet all of the zoning requirements, so there is no additional zoning relief required. Share my screen here real quick. Okay, so this is a rendering provided by the applicant where you can see the addition right here. This is the neighboring building. This existing loading dock belongs to the neighboring building. And right now there's a small open passageway between the two structures. So the applicant is proposing to demolish the exterior wall of this existing building to expand this kitchen facility and connect it to the adjacent building next door. So the staff does feel that generally the proposal does meet the conservation guidelines, as this is a small sort of utility addition. It doesn't, a lot of the guidelines are not applicable, such as height and proportion and things along those lines. The addition is set back well beyond the frontage of the existing building, so as not to intrude on the existing streetscape. And the applicant has matched the brick material as well as the banding that is used on the main building on this addition. There will be rooftop equipment on top of the kitchen addition, but it is set well back on top of that addition so that it will not be highly visible from the street. You can see in the elevation drawing, this will all be brick with the cast stone banding on the top and the mechanical equipment above that. And the applicant is planning on installing landscaping in front of this to help further screen that addition. So staff does recommend approval of the certificate of appropriateness for 506 East 4th Street, including any revision submitted for permit subject to staff review and approval, with the condition that the building permits must be issued within 2 years of the decision date or the COA shall expire.
Thank you, Mr. Owen. All right, we have 5 people checked in and signed up. Who will be speaking on behalf of the applicant?
Hi, my name is Todd Etter. I'm the Director of Construction for Eagle Realty Group.
Mr. Etter, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can I have everyone who intends on testifying on behalf of this item, please raise your right hand so I can swear you in? Thank you. Do you swear or affirm to testify the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, what do you have to add?
Not much more. We're excited about this opportunity to expand the kitchen for the Phelps. Right now, we don't really have a full kitchen there, so this is going to expand the offerings not only for the guests, but the surrounding areas in the neighborhood. And in addition to that, given the close proximity to our project next door, 550 Apartments, we decided to connect the 2 buildings together, and that's really a back of house connection that allows food delivery and services to the residents at the 550 as well. So we're very excited about this and we appreciate your support.
Okay. I'll go ahead and see if anybody else has anything to say. Jeb Gar,
No.
Sarah Letton,
No.
Peter Hilligoss,
Yep.
Dave Rubson.
No.
All right, that's everybody we have signed up. Questions from the board for staff or the applicant? Absent that, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the certificate of appropriateness as laid out by staff.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Zelasco,
Aye.
Mr. Weiss,
Yes.
Ms. Smith Dobbins,
Yes.
Mr. Young,
Yes.
Mr. Sunderman.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Item number 2 is approved.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Owen or anyone else, do we have any other business today? Oh yeah, the staff approvals.
Correct.
I will entertain a motion to approve the staff approvals as laid out, as given to us.
Moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Zelasco,
Aye.
Weiss,
Yes.
Ms. Smith Dobbins,
Yes.
Mr. Young,
Aye.
Mr. Sunderman.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Now, do we have any other business?
No, sir.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Everyone, we're adjourned.